welcome back to Miss Sebastian's studio. Today we're going to be doing another holiday themed project, and it is going to be on Valentine's Day. So we're going to learn a little bit more about the holiday. Then I'm going to show you two interesting projects that you can do with it. One being a necklace pendant, and the other one could be a wall hanging. And so hang on tight for the end of the video so you can hear your super silly joke of the day. Today we're going to learn about Valentine's Day. Saint Valentine is a widely recognized 3rd century Roman saint, and he's long been associated with the tradition of love. He's also the patron saint of epilepsy. He was a clergyman, either a priest or a bishop in the Roman Empire, who ministered to persecuted Christians. Saint Valentine of Rome was martyred on February 14th in the year 269. Many have suggested that Saint Valentine's Day was created as an attempt to supersede the pagan holiday of Lupercalia, which was celebrated in mid-February in Rome. In the Middle Ages, most of the current legends that characterize Saint Valentine were invented in the 14th century in England, notably by Geoffrey Chaucer, here's a picture of him here, and his circle of friends, when the feast day of February 14th first became associated with romantic love. Lovebirds. During the Middle Ages, it was believed that birds paired in mid-February. This was then associated with the romance of Valentine's Day. Although these legends differ, Valentine's Day is widely recognized as a day for romance and devotion. People send a lot of cards on Valentine's Day. Originally, they would write letters, but now people buy printed cards to send. And last year, there were nearly 1 billion cards sent on Valentine's Day. Did you know that some countries celebrate Valentine's Day on July 6th or on July 30th? So where did the idea of sending candy to your sweetheart come from? Well, why not send something sweet to your sweetheart? Before the mid-1800s, chocolate was very rare and hard to find and was super expensive. But in 1895, it was more readily available and affordable, and Hershey's made the first chocolate bar. Going along with that same spirit of sending something sweet to your sweetheart, why not send something that smells sweet, like a rose? Roses have long held color symbolism, so if you send a red rose, it means that you're thinking romantically about someone. Pink is for admiration, yellow friendship, white loyalty, lavender is supposed to be love at first sight. Things that you're going to need for this include some pre-made salt flour dough. I've tinted mine with red food coloring, which made it pink because I didn't add too much of the red. You can also use other materials to make impressions in the clay for this. I'm also going to be using a pencil today, and I'm also going to be using my shoe here. So when you get your salt dough, if yours has been in the fridge and it dried out a little bit, just add a little bit of oil to your hands again, cooking oil. Could be corn oil or olive oil, whatever you got hanging around. Just a little bit to your hands and knead it back in. That'll get it nice, soft, and flexible. And then I'm going to be making two things. So I'm going to put one off to the side, a small chunk. Probably no more than a third, a quarter to a third is fine of your clay. And I'm going to take this other chunk, because this is going to be more like a wall plaque or decoration. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first form it so that it looks like a heart. And we want this to be fairly flat. And I'm just modifying the shape here so I can get that shape that I want. Again, I can use that pencil to kind of help make indentions into it to make it the way I want. We're going to leave it on this paper to dry. because as it hardens, it's going to separate very easily. If I tried to pick this up now, it may stick because I've gotten mine pretty soft. So it can take the next step much more easier. So my next step, now that I got that the way I want it, I'm gonna take a shoe and I'm gonna pick an area on the bottom of the shoe and I'm gonna press it into the clay. So I'm not gonna press super hard because I don't want to squash out my heart. But if I do it just a little tap, you can see how I now have this great design that was from my shoe in there. And if I want to go in there and add some extra little designs to it, again, just using my pencil or whatever materials that you have hanging around your house. I can also use a ruler if I want to make some straight lines. That kind of artistic. And then you want to make sure the shape again is the way you liked it. If you need to still go back in there and do that, by all means. And then I'm going to need to make sure I have a hole. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to make circles so it connects to the paper underneath it so that I'll have a nice hole for that. Then set that off to dry. It may take a couple of days for it to harden completely. All right, so now I have the smaller one, and this can be made into a pendant that you could actually wear. If it's too big, I can always separate some of that out. Maybe I'm gonna make two. And again, I'm going for that heart shape. Pinching and flattening, using that pencil when it comes in handy to kind of help make the shape you want. If something winds up being too big, maybe you could use a ruler to cut off part of it, or a butter knife that you got laying around. And then I can make some mini ones. So I'm just going to press this part of my shoe gently in it, pull it off, maybe do a different part of my shoe here. There we go. And then reform those just to make sure it keeps that heart shape that we're looking for. You could have used a different shoe. Again, you can make these smaller. I'm gonna make a little tiny hole so I can put it through a ribbon that can be worn. And I'm gonna let those dry. All right, so I have my next set of materials for this lesson. I have a reusable container to hold some water for me. I have a watercolor set, but any paints would probably work for this. I have a paintbrush. Optional materials can include chains for necklaces, ribbons to hang them up as decorations on walls or trees. We've got wire I could use to hang it up by. For sealing the paint, you can also use clear nail polish, or better, you can use some clear spray that you can get from the store. And that'll make them waterproof and protect it. All right, some time has passed and my pieces are now nice and hard. I tried moving them when they were a little damp still on the back, and you can see I got a few cracks, but not super bad. The small ones dried quicker. You can use a hair dryer to dry them more quickly as well. And I want to just point out something that you may or may not have known about watercolor sets. When you open up the lid, you may notice that there are these little plastic dividers in the lid, and that's because you can mix colors in here, and that will be your wells for mixing. Some people who do watercolor paintings like to pre-wet their colors with a little bit of clean water. That makes them more ready to go. If you know you're going to be using a certain color, you by all means can do this. I actually do this when I do my more professional paintings. I'll run my paints underneath a thin stream from the tap. But you can always just rinse your brush and go and add water as you work too. And you can mix colors. I'm not going to probably mix colors for this video, but if I were to mix colors, I would put a color here, rinse my brush, and then put in another color next to it, rinse my brush before going back into the color here. And if you need more water, just add more water as need be. But you want to try to keep the colors in the wells as clean as possible so that you don't taint them, because then it's really hard to get them clean. But what if yours is dirty? You can just rinse it really well with your clean wet brush. Rinse, scrub, rinse, and that'll usually get all the yucky colors that were in that particular well of paint out. Okay, and that's why it's real important for watercolor artists to have a big well of water to use from. Feel free to change that as needed. So I'm going to go into the color that I want to use. And I'm going to use the tip of the brush to just very carefully paint whatever colors I want on this. And you can see that it absorbs the color very nicely. So that is what is really nice about this salt flour dough recipe. I'm going to go ahead and paint these, and we'll do it on fast motion, and then I'll show you how I might finish them at the end. If it seems that your paint is not going on your art very well, you might need more water. So don't be shy about adding that water to your watercolor paints as you work. And you might notice that I'm using the very tip of the brush to do fine work. I would maybe lay my brush flat and press harder to paint a larger area in. And then if you make a mistake somewhere, like it got outside the line here, you might just want to paint over it with a different color. be afraid about also getting the sides, or if you even want to, the back. I think the back would be a great place to sign your name. If you need to get some fine detail done, don't be shy. You can maybe even grab a Sharpie. You can blow dry them too to help dry them more quickly. And when you're done, you can put a coat on of something clear that'll protect your wonderful paint that you did, and will keep that keepsake from deteriorating. And what's nice too is that I find that the paint will deepen the colors that will be underneath it a little bit, which makes them look extra nice. Last step is just putting something to hang them by and tying them off, and you're ready to display yours or to give yours as a gift. Oh, I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Oh, and maybe you could give one of those to a family member. I'm sure they would love it. Okay, so for today's super silly joke of the day, what did the one light bulb say to the other light bulb on Valentine's Day? I love you, Watson Watts. Watson, Watson, Watts. Okay, be sure to be nice to everyone you meet today. Love on one another, kindness rules, and I can't wait till we meet up again at my studio. Keep on making great art.